Hi, Prema here. In this video, I'm going to share with you how you can really own your value. This subject is so near and dear to my heart. Own your value and own your worth so that you can shift into a state of energetic allowing and receiving. So you can align with the energy of abundance to create more prosperity, to know exactly what you should be doing right now to consciously create wealth with the gifts you have been given. Just breathe into that for a moment. It's time. It's time for you to own your value. And by the end of this video, you're going to learn how to connect with your true value, your unshakable true value and worth, and start to receive more wealth, more love, more money, anything your heart desires. If this subject is resonating for you, go ahead and like and give this video a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe and hit that bell notification. I put out videos every week. Women often settle for less than their worth. I mean, feel into that for a moment. If you're a woman, you're a conscious woman, how many times have you settled for less than your worth? Less money, less time, less love, less commitment, less devotion, less than your worth. Part of this is because of our conditioning. So I want to break this down a little bit because we have some big cultural conditioning, some ancestral conditioning, and one of the really important reasons why we really need to own our value is not only to uplift ourselves, our own life, our own families, our own communities, who we're making a difference for in the world, but collectively as well. Every time we shift, each and every one of us, we shift the collective. We change the paradigm for all women. So remember that we have been caretakers. We have been nurturers and caretakers. And that is part of our nature. That's never not going to be our nature. But it has not been very highly valued. And it doesn't matter throughout time. It just hasn't been highly valued. And we've done more and we've taken on more, not only running the home and families and moving out into the workplace and leading communities, a lot. The nurturing part of it, especially the caretaking, so that it allowed other people to go and do what they needed to do and family, children to grow up and everything else, that wasn't highly valued. So we were trained not to value some of our natural gifts. And I see this all the time with my clients. I see this all the time with women, not valuing your gifts, your true gifts, whether it's your problem solving, your intuition, your ability to lead, the amazing craftswoman you are with your hands, the artist, whatever it might be. So it's leaked over into that area. So that's one set that I really see of ways that we have been devalued and then taken that on and devalued ourselves, because value comes from the inside, but conditioning comes from the outside. And once that conditioning seeps into us, and if you want to learn more about that conditioning and breaking through that conditioning, you want to go ahead and watch my most recent video on breaking through the shadow, breaking through your limiting beliefs. And I go deep into that, and the link is down below for that. So another one of the big beliefs, collective cultural conditionings. So I want you to understand around value, wealth, money. Women were not allowed to own and control property in the United States until 1848. That was not that long ago. It was only 100 years ago that women got the vote. So we weren't stewards of what was valued in the world. And that's been fairly recent. And there have been some amazing women, blazing the trail. Every time, again, each and every one of us owns our value. We uplift the possibility of value for all of us. So I want you to know that wherever you're at with this value issue, you're just fine where you are, and I want to help give you the tools to shift that. And in fact, if you really want to shift that in a big way, then I would invite you to book a one-on-one call with me and my team for the SOULUTIONARY Blueprint program. We have a couple of spots open for calls. I will tell you more about that at the end of the video, but the link is down below. Every time, again, we shift, the collective shifts. It's time. The beliefs that get in the way for owning your value are not worthy, not enough or just not enough. We end up having this lack consciousness. Lack is the opposite of enough. Lack is the opposite of wholeness. When we're in our wholeness, when we are connected to the source of our being, the source of this universe, what's pulsing through our veins, the divine creating, that's wholeness. And when we are in lack, we are disconnected from that. And that lack consciousness is seeing less than that there's not enough, basically. So we're not enough, and then there's not enough for us. Another one of the beliefs that I commonly see here, and I've had to break through all of these myself. Let me be very clear about that. I've had to work through every one of these, and I'm constantly still up-leveling on these because it's an expanding universe, and the more I embrace, I still notice, and the more aware and conscious I become, I notice how, and you do too, I know you can relate to this, how much more there is, or how I'm even just a little bit off, and I want to be fully on. So undervaluing yourself. It's just undervaluing yourself, and having a lack of clarity. It also really is one of the big beliefs here that gets in the way. So the truth is that the universe only gives you what you believe you're worth. Only gives you what you believe you're worth. Now, I know this is, like I said, near and dear to my heart. I have been an entrepreneur for over 30 years. I have worked from the time I think I had my first real job when I was 14. Before that, I sewed for people, I ironed, I babysat, I took care of animals, I did whatever I could do. I always was in this place of needing to earn. It was partly because I lived on my own very early and the way I was raised, but I also knew that money was freedom. But I really gauged it all by what I did. And the key that I learned over time was it's really about who I am. But I always knew that if I could really figure out what I was really good at, that I would wealth would not be an issue. That undervaluing of myself was this inner self-talk of, again, I'm not good enough, just not quite good enough. And I had the lack consciousness going on too. It didn't come from any wealth, and I had to learn what that was about. So the universe only gives you what you believe you're worth. So what happened for me is I always worked, whether it was in my own business or before that, I worked so many hours, and I was so wired around what I did to create my value that I would just burn myself out, and I would wear myself out. And if you don't know the story of my yoga center, it was a 6-figure in sales business, but not enough was coming to me, and I was burnt out because I was doing way, way, way too much. And it was just after that time that at the end of that falling apart that I really was able to turn this all around and really step out of my shadow. Sacred Wealth Code came from that time. If you want to learn more about that, you can also grab my book or grab a free chapter to my book, and that's in the links down below. You know this is happening for you if you've had some success, but you know you're capable of achieving so much more, but you have no idea how. This was me in a big way. You've had success and it's been hit and miss. You've had it, but you don't really know how to recreate it. So that you've had that up and down pattern. Your marketing maybe is not connecting with people, and you're not able to really get through to them how you can help them. You keep putting your message out, but nothing's coming back. But what if you could create wealth without a lot of hard work? What if you were creating it from a place of knowing it was yours to create? It was just this flow. Again, the universe gives you what you believe you are worth. So whatever you're believing you're worth, that is what's going to reciprocate. That's just the way the universe works. So when you know your value, when you know your worth, you know that it comes from inside of you. It is an inside job. The divine being that you are is 100% worthy. When you were born, you are 100% worthy. If you've had children or you've looked at babies coming into the world, like they're born with the full birthright of worthiness and value. You too, you are a child of the divine. It is your job to connect with that worth inside of you. And knowing what your gifts are and your values are a big part of this. When you really make that connection with your gifts, it's connecting you with your energetic currency that just feeds you and creates a great service in the world. When you're fully connected with your values, you're going to put yourself first. And when you put yourself first, you make choices that are good for you. And when you make choices that are good for you, it's good for others, even if they don't know it. And when we are putting ourselves first, the rest of our world will resonate around that truth. And we've got to stop selling ourselves short because we're afraid of disappointing someone else or losing in some way. It's simply not true. You have to energetically stand behind yourself. So we want to be seen for our gifts. We want to receive our value. But if we don't connect with that value inside of us, we're not resonating. We're not a beacon of that value. We're not a beacon of our gifts. It starts here. But the problem is we're looking for it outside of ourselves. You're looking for it outside for someone to say, oh yeah, you're worth this much. Oh yeah, that part of you or that gift, your energy in some way is worth this much. It isn't outside of you. And because we're waiting for it outside, then we're not an energetic match for it either, because what's inside is what's going to inform the outer world on what reciprocates back to us. So that's why you have to energetically stand behind yourself. You have to stand in your gifts and what lights you up. The easiest way to own your value, the place to start right now, just write down your gifts. Just write down them. And then also you need to look at and write down, what is the value of this gift? If I'm using this gift of intuition in the world, what is the value of that for me, for everyone that affects? If I'm using and standing in my authentic leadership, what is the value that creates for everyone in my life and what's the ripple effect of me sharing my leadership, of my gift of great problem solving, or the gift of the amazing way that I can nurture or connect and network? What is the actual value of that transformation? What is the value of that? It's huge. And beyond that, again, come back to the value of you. You are a divine being. You are source. You are divinity in action. And that holds all the value, all value. It's inside. So you have to connect with that. So number one, connect with your gifts, write them down, and really look at the value that when you're using those gifts, what they create, and when you're not, what's the cost? Because you have value and you have cost. You need to have really good boundaries and make choices that are right for you, and not be concerned about what other people are going to think. And I know this is a step. This is not easy. I totally get it. And this is also why we need community. This is exactly why we need support. We were never meant to do this alone. I have up-leveled in my worth, in my value, and I continue to. And every time I do, I take another level of wealth comes to me. My business comes to another level. My freedom steps up and comes to another level. The love in my life, the difference that I can make, everything up levels when I own more and more of me and own more and more of my gifts. Is the most direct way to do that, and to continually remember the truth of who you are. So it's time to energetically stand behind yourself. If you would like help in doing that and want work in a closer mentorship, I would encourage you to apply for one of our one-on-one consultations for the Solutionary Blueprint. This is for visionary women who want to go deeper than ever before to unlock their innate power, to really trust themselves, to really stand in their gifts, and to create wealth for themselves and the world. This is a program that's very one of the kind. It does the inner transformation and also gives you the practical outer transformation for up-leveling your work in the world and making that impact that you don't want to look back at the end of your life and not have made. So if that's you and you're serious about that, click that link, book a call with us, and we'd love to talk about how we could support you. Again, remember to subscribe to the channel, to share this with anyone you know it would be helpful for, and leave me a comment below and tell me the one thing you're going to value about yourself today. Tell me the one thing that you're going to value about yourself. And if you want to share what's keeping you from valuing yourself, absolutely share that too. Totally here to support you. So much love.